What's so funny, TSM?
It's the makeup nurse, you better fix your ways. The makeup nurse, she bout to fix your face. It's the makeup nurse, you better fix your ways. It's the makeup nurse, she bout to fix your face. Makeup nurse, the makeup nurse, the makeup nurse.
I'm back! Welcome back to my channel, The Struggle is Real with the Makeup Nurse. Today, we are going to talk about my struggles and being a teen mom and yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about my story. But it's also August 15th, so that is Leathercraft Day, Lemon Meringue Pie Day, and Relaxation Day. So to all you moms, young moms, I'm sure you can relate to some of these stories that I have to say. And the moral of this is, it doesn't matter how young you are or when you have kids, there's going to be struggles, and you can still work through them and still have a great life. And so many stereotypes of teen moms are out there, and I've heard so many positive stories and good stories from people out there talking about their struggles and their stories of how they overcame it. And so my story starts when I graduated high school early, a year earlier than a lot of people, because back then you could start kindergarten early, and so I did. So I graduated when I was 17. Thank goodness, because I would have been in high school if it would have been the normal age now, and I would have been pregnant in high school. At least I was out of high school when I got pregnant and with my daughter. And but I was in my first year of college, and I was going to go to school for my bachelor's or biology degree. I went to a junior college to begin with because of money and stuff. And so I started going down that route. Well, thank goodness, like the prereqs and stuff like that for biology is pretty similar to everything. I had to take my English and speech and biology classes, stuff like that. So it's not like I got too far into it when I got pregnant. So because my mom was so worried about me not finishing or whatever since I got pregnant, she wanted me to change my major to from a biology degree to go, because I wanted to be a brain surgeon, to be I went the nursing route. So my last semester of my prereqs, I took a whole bunch of courses because I wanted to complete them so I could start the nursing program. And I was due, after my original due date was in December with my daughter. So I'm like, okay, I can finish the courses and then have my baby, have a couple weeks off for spring break, and then I'll start my nursing program. Well, she came early. So she came I had 1 week left of all my classes. And I had such a great friend, though, because I had my anatomy and physiology final and a couple other finals, but that was like the big one because I also had to do the lab final. And so I went into labor, and that on Sunday, or I had my daughter that Sunday, and Monday was supposed to be the written final, and then that Wednesday was the lab final. So I obviously had to let him know that I wasn't going to be discharged until Monday. And then that way, but my friend brought me the anatomy book at the hospital so I could study for the final. And then I ended up that Wednesday taking both finals and passing, thank goodness. So anyway, I had my daughter, and then I started the nursing program when she was 6 weeks old. And I was in a program at the time where if you weren't a CNA, you didn't have to be. The first class was they taught you how to be a CNA, but they didn't certify you. So because I did that route, and I literally went right out of college or high school into these classes and stuff like that. And in high school, instead of taking the CNA classes, I took all my calculus and everything else to prepare me for a doctor, because I was going to be a doctor, not a a nurse. So I worked at Burger King and a waitress and everything. So I didn't have the hospital experience other than my clinicals in nursing school. So then at the end, the second to the last class, the teacher just did not like me. And she said, even though I was passing with a B, and I struggled all through nursing school, like with passing. I mean, not clinically, but like the classes, because having a 6-week-old kid whenever I started, and, you know, having to run or to try to find a babysitter, work at Burger King and waitressing. I had to try to find time to study. There was lots of times I would be like holding a bottle and trying to study, and trying to go to study groups with my friends to learn. So the nursing program, and then to barely pass with, we couldn't get lower than a 75 on any of our tests. So I was getting like literally like between a 75 and 80 on every test. And so anyway, this teacher didn't like me because I wasn't a CNA, and even though I didn't have any marks against me in clinicals, she just did not like me because I wasn't a CNA. And I guess like there was a lot of people had even said in previous classes, if you didn't work as a CNA, she just didn't like you, and she had it out for you. So I kind of already knew that going into it. And so she said that she was going to fail me if I didn't withdraw, because I wasn't going to make it as a nurse, and I wasn't going to pass the next class and whatever. So I had to withdraw and then like take her first and take somebody else second, so she couldn't fail me again. But at the same time that happened, my husband was on a dirt bike and got in an accident and broke his leg, and it shattered. And he's a mechanic, so and he had to get a rod placed and everything. So, you know, he's a laborer. He couldn't do anything for 6 months. And of course, it was a dirt bike, and that was the one thing that the disability insurance would not cover. So we were living off my $5 an hour at Burger King and waitressing, and I didn't work at a restaurant that actually like made really good tips, but it is what it is. So we struggled, and I didn't know as much about the grants and stuff that you could get being a mom, you know, like a low-income mom and whatever. So I paid all my books and my classes up front, or, you know, to get me through nursing school. So in hindsight, I wish I would have known that. And there's better programs now than there was 20 years ago, so that part helps as well. But and I didn't know much about like what I knew there was WIC, and so when I was pregnant with my daughter, for a couple of the later months, I was able to get like milk and cheese and maybe did I get bread? No, no, I don't think I got bread. It was pretty much just milk and cheese, and they gave you these vouchers, and you could only get that, and you couldn't get like the good stuff, you know. And when my daughter was born, I was able to get milk and cheese again, and then I was able to get like the kids cereal, you know, infant cereal for that, but that was about all I got. And like really nothing good, and you can only have like a certain amount. So for the month you only got like maybe better programs for mothers. Maybe I could have got more assistance, but that was all I really got. I'm glad they have more help nowadays, because it would have been extremely helpful if I would have got more help, especially financially, to help me get through school a little bit easier than what it did. But you know what? Oh well, I got through it. But I worked nonstop and never got any sleep. I tried to work as many off shifts as I could with then my husband, because he's a mechanic. But you know, even though he was off for the 6 months, and I just worked more hours, which, you know, kind of affected my last class in my school. I mean, I passed, but it was a struggle to pass. And then because I didn't have CNA experience, again, that hurt me. The bigger hospitals that were paying a lot more money, like they were paying like new grads at this time, 20 years ago, $20 an hour. And the hospital I was at, they paid me like $14.35, I think, which was, I was like, woohoo, increase from $5, you know. So I thought I was rich at the time. But anyway, he so that helped a little bit. And but when he broke his leg, I was still in the nursing program and making nothing. But we had like his grandma brought us groceries one time, and another one of our friends brought us groceries, and my mom brought me diapers and formula for my daughter. So we had some help, especially when we had that happen. And then, when I started making a little money, it was so much nicer. So then I had my son, and he was about a year. I just literally had my son, and my husband got fired from his job because he opened his mouth. He doesn't have a filter sometimes, and and so he got fired, and so so I just kept, luckily as nursing you can pick up I worked with the different places I worked. I could pick up more hours and work different shifts and that kind of stuff. So at least nursing is more flexible. Especially being a young mom and trying to make things work. And even though we had family babysit, we still paid the family because his aunt ran a daycare, and so we were taking a spot. So I still had to pay. I wasn't going to be like, oh, we get it free or a discount because we're family. And then even when his mom started watching, and when she closed down, and we still paid his mom food and her gas and to help out, but. I just worked as many hours, and I continued going to school. I've actually been in school my entire life up until about a year ago when I quit. I finally quit. I'm like, I'm done. I never want to read a book again. I've been reading school books or research stuff for the last, even through high school, so since I was 4 years old, right? I'm just tired of school. And my son makes comments, well, Mom, I don't want to go to school and like you did for 50 years. I'm like, okay, wait, I'm not 50, so hold on, kid. But anyway, when he was, after he got fired, we were like, you know what, let's start your own business, because he didn't, we were looking around to see what he wanted to do, where he wanted to work, and stuff like that. And so we started our own business, and I helped while I worked the 2 jobs at the hospitals, and I worked as occupational health nurse at Caterpillar, which is the tractor place that they build the big tractors, and I also would help go to the shop whenever I could and helped with answering phones or any of the paperwork side of things and that kind of thing. And we were just about to get going and, start making a profit. And we had a good clientele base. And we were like, okay, we're going to go to Michigan for the races for the weekend. And so we got Saturday morning. That Saturday morning, we got a call that our shop burned down. And, of course, we were dumb and young. And so lesson learned for you guys. Make sure you have more insurance than you need. And because we had, just the bare minimum insurance that, to cover hardly anything, and we had just enough money to pay for the Napa and some of the people that had their parts in our shop that they let us use, and we only had to pay whenever we used it. So we had to pay all that to them, and so we used our insurance money for that. And then we had just a little bit left over, and my grandma loaned us some money to start the shop up, and we were able to pay her a little bit of that. So then I just took out my retirement and gave my grandma the rest of the money to pay her off. And then we're back to he needs a job, which took a little bit because we weren't going to start it back up. So he ended up finding a job working with this independent guy, and he actually was there up until about a year ago, or 2 years ago, whenever we moved to Georgia. So, it worked out really well, and he loved my husband, and, they're still friends. But whenever you have, hard times in life, there's so many good people out there that will help you, so you can still make it through anything. There's obstacles, but you just got to find a way to get through those obstacles. And then, and my son was about a year old when that happened. Yeah, he was about a year old when, he was 3. Oh my gosh. He was a year old whenever we started, and 3 then. So yeah, it was having 2 little ones. So he was 3 and my daughter was 6. And so I just picked up another job. At one point, I had like almost 4. But I did home health for 6 months during this time, and it just wasn't for me. And I'm like, I'm done. I didn't like driving to the different houses all the time. And plus, you didn't even know. This one time, they're like, "Oh, Jamie, this guy isn't answering. It was somebody else's patient. Can you go and check on a well-being check?" Because I lived pretty close to that area, and so I was the closest one. So I'm like, okay, well, I didn't know what I was going to find or whatever, and so I'm knocking on the door, no one's answering. I kind of peeked in the window. I'm like, I don't see anything. I said, I'm going to be a creeper if I continue, so you're going to have to just call the cops and do a well-being check on the person. I didn't see anything. Because that's the last thing I needed, someone calling the cops on me, and thinking I'm like breaking in or something. So, and after that, I quit. It wasn't for me. And then I just continued working the 3 other places. I worked 2 places at the hospital, and then Caterpillar. And then I finally, like at the hospital, I'd work night shift and weekend. Like the one hospital, I worked weekend night shift, and you were considered full time, so I got like all the benefits of full time. And I did that so I could work during the week at Caterpillar and go to school and take my kids everywhere. And so like I said, that's the nice thing about nursing. If you go into nursing, there's so many opportunities of what you can do to rearrange your schedule so you can make things work, being a mom and a wife and stuff like that, and trying to still make things work. I was a walking zombie all the time, though. I mean, my kids remember me being grouchy and they would try to on the weekends, because I work weekend nights, I did that so I wouldn't miss out as much, because I was missing out on so many like birthdays and holidays and all the fun stuff on the weekends. I would go to sleep and I'd be like, okay, if you're going to do anything, wake me up. Well, they would sneak out of the house and not let me know to like go to Walmart or whatever. And I would get so mad because they left without me and they did something without me. And they're like, you needed to sleep, so, oh gosh, but it would make me mad. But I was always a walking zombie. And I don't even know how I tried everything, like all those Monster drinks and energy shots and stuff that you can buy at the gas station. I would like load those up to just stay awake, so I could stay awake and still be with my family and still work and all that, which I don't recommend any of that. It came to a point where like I was having severe chest pains, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I gotta quit. I have to stop doing something. So that's when I finally quit the hospital, the night shift. I don't do it anymore after 10 years of just on the go and working at the school and Caterpillar and the hospital, and take my kids everywhere, because at this time they were a little bit older and they were in swimming and gymnastics and baseball and softball, and my son didn't stay in baseball for too long. I mean, I wish he would have, but he was like, yeah, it's not for me. He'd be out in the outfield throwing his glove and twirling around, and so yeah, it wasn't for him, I guess. And but he was really good in swimming, and then he got so good, and it was to the point where I wanted to put him in like competition and stuff, and he just was like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, what? And so and my daughter, she started gymnastics. She was just kind of like going, for the fun of it. So then she got to be about 16. She was a cheerleader, and then she got pregnant. And so I'm like, and I explained to her over and over again. I tried to so she wouldn't have to go down the path I did, and the struggles that I did. I'm like, you don't want to do stuff like what I did. You don't want to go through what I did. And well, she didn't listen to me. What 16-year-old does, right? And then hell, my son doesn't even listen to me. I keep trying to tell him to stay off his motorcycle, and then he got in an accident on his motorcycle. Thank God he's okay, you know, and then trying to, you know, still, because I'm still a young mom, and of course now I'm a young grandma, and trying to help her out and everything else, because now I feel like we're going down this path. But some of the things that I've learned, I'm trying to help her to even graduate. So she did graduate a year early, and she took the junior year and senior year together so she could graduate. So she graduated, and and I helped her and everything. And but yeah, it's been a struggle. And then, you know, there's been a lot of rocky roads, and especially like when we got married, because, you know, as soon as I got pregnant, he's like, we're getting married. And well, 5 days after we got married, his dad passed away, and that just trauma, that just hurt him so bad, and he went into a depression. And he wasn't the nicest person for 4 years after the fact. Not that he like beat me or did anything bad to me. He just wasn't as helpful, and he wasn't, you know, he was just not like, he wasn't mean, but he was not nice, if that makes sense. I don't know. And so it took a toll on us for the first 4 years of our marriage, you know, because he just wasn't being responsive. And yeah, it was just, and he took care of the kids because when he had to, but he was so depressed. And he was a 21-year-old guy that all of a sudden is now getting married, having a baby, and now his dad just died. And we didn't even know where we were going to live. And he was living with his dad. I was living with my mom at the time. And so when his dad died, we're like, okay, I'll move in there. But now we have rent to pay. I mean, we have to be responsible adults, you know. And so now we have all this. I was in the prereqs at the time. I was working at Burger King and waitressing, making no money. He was a very entry-level mechanic, so he wasn't making that much money. And so now it's like, oh, all of this like bombarded us at once, you know, and all that stuff. So that was hard. But I had a lot of good friends and stuff that kept motivating me. Like after the teacher was going to fail me or withdraw, you know, either I withdraw or she fails me. And in the nursing program, if you fail, you don't get back in. And so I was forced to withdraw. And but I had so many people supporting me and helping me and like motivating me to go back, because I was going to just quit. I'm like, this isn't for me. I can do something else. But so like I said, there's so many good people out there that like when something happens, they'll help remove those obstacles. And just like the year has been so hard for our family, you know, I lost my job with the pandemic, so we moved to Georgia, and we were able to buy a piece of property, and then like as soon as we like got some stuff on the land, you know, someone like came and stole like $20,000 worth of stuff off of our property, and we never did find who stole it or whoever did. So they got all of our 20 grand worth of stuff, and it was devastating, because it's like, oh my gosh, we just worked so hard to get to this and level. And you know, every time everything's like something bad happened, I've had to take out my retirement. So I have like no retirement, no savings, and you know, that's just my stupidity, you know, or I don't know if it's stupidity, but you know, I've always had to take it out. But anyway, so we got the property, and then we got the stuff stolen from us, and it's just like, okay, what do we do now, you know? And then we were looking at, okay, what do we do? And then he gets hit by the school bus, and you know how many people have been so sweet and supportive, and like praying for me and my family and helping him get through recovery and everything. And yes, he's still recovering, but man, it could have been so much worse. He's at least here with me. And then, you know, then we had, oh my gosh, this is another stupid thing. I make the worst decisions in life, I guess. So while we're waiting to hopefully start building a house, I have a camper I had an old camper, and my daughter and her family were living in that camper. We're in this wonderful campground, and I'm like, oh well, at least yeah, it's tight. We have a lot of stuff in storage, but you know what? Campgrounds are beautiful. It's like we're on vacation 24/7. Well, we had a storm come through, and a tree fell on my daughter's camper, and of course I was in the transition period of no insurance and trying to get insurance on this. Literally a month without insurance, and this happens. That's my luck. It's like, okay, well, now what do we do? Well, we moved them into our camper for now, and then I'm like, okay, well, we'll see what we can do about starting getting our house built, so we can at least start with that, so we're not all cramped up for very long. That fell through. So far I'm still working on that, but I looked into getting another camper, and for various reasons that fell through. So right now we're like, okay, what do we do? Right now I'm working on getting the construction loan, and we had some obstacles that it fell through, but I'm hoping I think it's doable that we can remove some of the obstacles that we're facing right now, but it's just going to take a little more time. And so we had that camper issue, and then my son got in an accident with his truck, so I had to help him out with that, which took some of the that wasn't didn't help situation any, but I helped him get another truck, and then he got the motorcycle. I'm like, really? I didn't even want you to get a motorcycle. But so anyway, he got the motorcycle, and then he just got in an accident there with that. Thank goodness both the accidents, he's been fine. It's like, dude, you need to be more careful. You've gotten in an accident on within a few months of each other. Come on. And when my kids were 16, literally a week after, both of them got in a car accident and wrecked their vehicles. It's like, thank God they were okay. But man, how many lives do my family have left? I don't know. That's why I'm like, you need to get in a bubble or something, And then, I just got in an accident, but it wasn't. A piece of wood came through. It could have gotten worse, but at least it just hurt my shoulder. But nothing else, and it was a rental car, so at least I didn't have to worry about, okay, what do I do now with my vehicle? It was a rental car, so at least I got lucky there, I guess. I don't know if it's lucky or not. I don't know. And the cop was super nice, so, and then a couple years ago, right before the pandemic, was it before the pandemic? I can't remember. Everything's, my cousin went missing, and for a year we were trying to find him, and they finally found him after it was almost exactly a year later, and they found his remains, and so now we're trying to find his murderer, and I don't know if we'll we have our suspicions, but I don't know what will ever come with it. It's been it's been another year, so it's been a total of 2 years now. So that's been hard on my cousin, his sister. It's devastating on on her and her mom and her dad and stuff. So I've been trying to help support the best way as I can. There's not much you can say or do, other than pray, and hopefully we can find the person who did this and have justice, right? It's not going to bring them back, but at least we can have justice, and maybe they won't do it again to somebody else, so another family doesn't have to go through this. So that's all we can hope for that. So a lot of prayers, a lot of people have been praying for me, and right now that's all I can ask for. And my YouTube family, it's been so supportive. My friends and family's been supportive. Everybody's been so wonderful through these last couple of years. That's been very trying on our family, but you know what? These obstacles come to everybody. A lot of go through a lot, and you just have to try to figure out a way to look through it and overcome what obstacle it is. Like, I got pregnant. Okay, there's an obstacle. This is my goal. I still want to be, well, it was a doctor, and I switched to nurse. But you know what? That was the best thing ever, because after I worked as a nurse, and, you know, my mom's like, oh, you could go be a doctor. And I went to get my master's degree, and I'm like, and everyone's like, well, you can be a nurse practitioner. I'm like, I'm done. I just want to do administration and do that route. And, you know, I don't even want to be a nurse practitioner or anything anymore. I'm thankful I didn't go the doctor's route, because that's not the route I want. I learned a new passion in quality and doing data and stuff like that. So, you know, when things happen, an obstacle happens, and you might have to divert to another path. That path might be the best thing for you, and a blessing in disguise. There's many times I didn't get a job for whatever reason, and it was a blessing in disguise. Like, the one hospital I was working at, that I worked night shift and everything. Well, and I really wanted to get into quality, and I had interviews and everything else, and for whatever reason, I didn't get the job, and someone else did, and that wasn't more qualified than me. And come to find out later down the road, you know, the person who, because I was friends with the person who got it, pretty much told me that they blackballed me. But the best, I was devastated at the time, but I went to a different hospital and got a quality position. And I know I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I would have stayed at that hospital. I would probably be in the same position as than I am now. And now I have an amazing opportunity. And then I went to other hospitals, you know, as I was moving up, I went to other hospitals, and I was in a horrible situations, and if they would have been nice, or if it wasn't be where I'm at today. So because of all those bad obstacles that made me move and leave that place, is why I'm where I'm at today. But yes, I'm away from my family, but the opportunity to be able to travel and the experiences I've been able to see at a whole bunch of different hospitals instead of just one, and try to find out all the good things from each hospital, and hopefully bring those good things to another hospital for my experiences. So I know this is going to be a really long video, and I'm sorry, I just keep rambling on. And, you know, I had a lot of people criticize me in my husband's family for doing what I was doing. Well, it was my mother-in-law. She criticized me all the time for what I was doing, because she said I wasn't home with my kids, and she criticized me. She would say things to me like, if you haven't gotten smart yet, you're never gonna get smart. And I mean, she was really rude and everything. And, you know, it got to me, but I finally learned to be like, you know what, say what you want, I'm doing this for my family. And you just gotta try to let it roll off your back when people are criticizing you for trying to do what's right for your family, even if that means sacrificing being able to spend time with them, and so you can have a good life. And if I never did any of those things that she criticized me for, I want to be in this situation right now to help my husband after getting hit by a bus. So I mean, I look back and I'm like, okay, if I would have listened to her and stayed waitressing and working at Burger King, yes, you can make a good living waitressing. I mean, especially nowadays, you get a good restaurant. Oh my gosh! I mean, I've left some really good tips, and so sometimes I kind of think, hey, maybe I'll go back to waitressing. I actually loved waitressing. I actually did. It was nice. You got to meet lots of people and nice people, and now you can make some decent money. You can probably even make more money than a nurse sometimes. You know, actually, my sister-in-law quit nursing and went back to waitressing, and I think she said she's making about the same what she was making as a nurse. So yeah, but yeah, I definitely want to be able to help out all the people I've been helping out recently, like my son, and when he got in a wreck and crashed his truck, and helped him with his truck, and I've helped him a couple of times. I've helped my daughter. You know, I'm the sole person now making supporting the family, because my husband is injured, and he does everything else, so I don't mind. But if I she criticized me, I wouldn't be able to help the people I'm helping now. So don't listen to people who are criticizing you. If you know you're doing what's right for your family, just ignore them. I know it hurts, because trust me, I still remember those comments, to this day. If you haven't gotten smart yet, you're never going to get smart. That was years ago that she said it to me. And a lot of all the criticism she did, yeah, it still hurts. Now I was like, whatever, I don't care, but it still hurts, And so don't let any of those things happen. Let it roll off your back as much as you can, and just when an obstacle comes your way, try to figure out how to remove it and keep going, even if it's a different path. Maybe that path isn't better for you. So I hope this helped you guys. Sorry it's so long, and I'll see you next time. And the riddle of the day, we can't forget the riddle of the day. So what falls but doesn't break, and what breaks but doesn't fall? You guys have a great night, and I hope you got something out of this video, and I'll see you next time.